A super special YouTube video has come finally because we hit 100,000, in fact 150,000 followers on Instagram, and hopefully we will be a community of 200,000 across all platforms before the end of the year. So the most awaited, the most requested video is finally here, where I will be talking to, interviewing, chatting with my husband Shashank Batra on all things professional and personal. So grab a cup of tea and join us today. So my friends, this is my very dear husband Shashank Batra, who has finally decided to join us on our channel today, and we will be asking him some very candid personal and professional questions. So brace yourselves and let's get started. Shashank, how does it feel to finally be a part of the MSB Vision channels? And yeah, after 2 years of me almost creating content, you have finally showed your face on the camera. How does it feel?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I've been waiting for this day for such a long time. Yeah, I wanted to be in the first ever video on MSB channel, but I was rejected. But I'm so happy to be back here now. Thank you.
You were never rejected. I kept requesting him, let's do a video together, let's do a video together. He was always so busy, so caught up because he has a full-time job, which is takes up quite a lot of his time. So that's why finally it's a weekend today and we decided to shoot this together, because the community is growing and everybody deserves to learn more about your professional journey. So why don't we start right there? So we're going to start with an introduction about yourself, about your professional life so far. Tell the audience what your journey has been and where you are today.
Sure. Thanks, Mehar. First of all, very thank you for making time to listen to me. Yeah. I'll try my best to answer as many questions as I can, and if I can add any value to anyone's professional career, I'll be very happy.
No.
Okay, that being said, so talking about my professional journey, I started back in 2010 when I graduated from Pune University. I did my engineering in computer sciences, and after graduation I started working for this IT firm called NIIT Technologies. This was based out of Noida, in very close to Delhi. Most of the people would probably know. I did that for about a year or so, and I was very fortunate to get an opportunity to work in Belgium at the client side itself. So at the age of 21, I moved to Brussels for about 8 months or so and worked on developing banking software. And this was for an investment bank called KBC Bank. I really loved my time over there. And when I moved back to India, I was quite certain that I wanted to eventually settle down abroad.
What made you think that? Like, why settle down abroad? You were just 21 when you went to Europe. So what excited you about Europe?
I think it was the first time I was away from anyone and everyone, and I could do whatever I wanted to do. So I was independent and I was really enjoying my time out there. And this was the first time I actually traveled to Europe. I always did these small trips here and there, close to India or within the country itself, but never traveled that far. I was always fascinated by what's there in the European continent or the American continent, and this time when I got the opportunity, I made the most of it. So keeping all those aspects in mind, but also from a professional angle, all my colleagues were amazing. They would make time to actually teach you things from the very scratch. They do not expect you to know everything, but at the same time, they want you to just have that growth mindset. Similar to what you really talk about, Mehar. So keeping all those aspects in mind, I was quite certain I wanted to eventually move out. I wasn't sure Europe, America, where, but yes, move out.
So what happened then? You went back home from Belgium, you're back in India, you can't stop thinking about Europe. What was going through your mind?
To be honest, the day I was back, I was already planning my next Euro trip. But obviously that never happened. But the good part is that I got to see a different side of the professional career and how the professional career could eventually transform and what it could transform into. So that made me take a very conscious decision that I eventually wanted to do something different. And to move out of the country, I had to get a master's degree in those days, is basically the first thought we would get. So keeping that in mind, I decided to join a very small startup firm where we would focus on developing these healthcare technology-based applications. And again, I was doing some of the coding, but I did get a chance or an opportunity to see a different side because I was involved in selling of these mobile applications as well and talking to different organizations like the World Bank, WHO, United Nations HCR, which is focused on the refugees, and Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation. So that was a brilliant experience again, and I got an immense exposure working in a small firm, a startup. From there, I again got very fortunate and got another opportunity, this time to work in New York City. And I could compare New York versus working in Belgium or any other European country versus working in India. Yeah, so I could make a very conscious decision of where I eventually wanted to settle down. And that's what I eventually did.
Wow. So how was it working in New York? Like, what did you do there professionally?
To be very honest, it was a very short stint. I was there for a conference related to healthcare technologies again, because that was the expertise at that time. And it was organized by the World Bank in association with a pharmaceutical company called Merck. And so we visited their offices, and we were working on the strategy project on how we can use the funding which we receive from these organizations and put it to better use for developing healthcare applications specifically focused on tuberculosis that time, and spreading it across India and deploying it across India and helping out the Indian government. So that was the small project that I worked on over there.
Really cool. So how was it working in New York versus working in Europe? Like, what was different?
New York, definitely a lot more fast-paced in comparison to what you can see in Europe. Europe, people are focused not only on making money or earning money, but also very focused on maintaining a very good work-life balance. That is something that I did not see in any of my friends who were working at that time in New York. Everyone was working hard, which is absolutely a very good thing to do, but at the same time, when I say working hard, I could see people working 14, 15 hours a day at a stretch throughout the week, and it gets to them. It takes a toll on their lives. However, in Europe, you could see 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, and then you have so much more time on your hand to actually do something that you are passionate about as well. Just like how you started, Mehar.
I think that is so important, right? Imagining your life is just made up of so many things. It's not just your career, it's so many other aspects. And I think that's a little bit missing in the American way of working. And that's the gap you felt like you couldn't see yourself fit in that way, that American culture, right?
Maybe not at that time. So that's why, I had a little bit of time that I spent in the US and Europe, and I could just compare based on that. So I couldn't see myself doing that throughout my career. That's why I wanted to settle down in Europe.
Okay, so now you're like 23, 24. You have lived and worked in India. You have lived and worked in Europe. You have lived and worked in America. And you come back to India, and now you're like, okay, I need to get out. I need to do something big in my life. And what did you decide to do?
I don't know about doing something big in my life that time. I think the big dream was to actually move to a dream country, move to a dream destination, and get a good job, settle down. That was something that seemed very big to me at that point in time. Obviously, the priorities have changed since then. But so when I was back from New York, I knew it in my mind, Europe is the destination and that's where I want to go. So I started exploring different European countries, started studying about them, started exploring and researching about various universities across the continent. And so I could see myself living in a couple of countries, Netherlands, United Kingdom, or to an extent in some places in Spain. However, keeping again the language as a barrier in context, it just drilled down to Netherlands and United Kingdom. And then obviously the UK visa policies and regulations at that time, you could see that they were quite stringent, and that's how Netherlands it was. And fortunately, I had actually been to Amsterdam in my previous trip when I was working in Belgium, and I loved the place. Absolutely stunning city, nothing better than that, to be very honest. And made a conscious decision, did my GMAT, moved to Erasmus University to do my master's.
Wow, so this was which year then?
This was 2015. I started my master's in 2015.
So you did your MBA from Rotterdam Erasmus University in 2015 to 16.
Correct, yes.
And how was that? And how was that experience? And what did you do afterwards?
Out of the world experience, I would say. Single cohort had about 120 people, but they were from 35 different nations, 35 different countries across the world. Yeah. So now sitting here in London, I have friends in Peru, in Argentina, to friends in Hong Kong, Australia, across the world. And that's the kind of experience that I had when I did my master's. And I think that is something that stands out. Obviously, studying there, learning a lot from your professors, from the university, etc. But at the end of the day, it's all about the people you meet, the network that you create, which is going to last you for your entire life. And yeah, I think that's something that stood out. And apart from that, Netherlands as a country was great. Good part about it is that it's a part of European Union, so you can just travel from one place to another. You can reach from Amsterdam to Paris in 2 hours, into somewhere in Germany in 2 hours. So we used to travel a lot. Every weekend we used to explore a different place, a different country altogether. And I had an amazing experience. I'm glad I did that when I look back.
So now this is the year 2016. What did you do after you graduated from your MBA?
So once I graduated, I started working for a venture capital fund based out of Amsterdam again. Did that for about half a year before I moved to KPMG. So did start working in the IT risk and advisory department as a part of KPMG in Amsterdam after that. And did that for about 2 years before I moved to London eventually.
Wow, and now what do you do?
So now I work for KPMG London, focusing on, again, IT risk and advisory, mostly work for financial services. Key clients are banking clients, and that's what my focus is.
Okay, awesome. So that just shows that you were somebody who has lived and worked across multiple countries. You were somebody who had a computer science engineering degree, but now you are working in consulting. And that was actually one of the questions that was sent to us by our audience members. How was this transition from being a coder, a hardcore engineer, to now working in consulting? How different or similar is it?
I think it's absolutely different. Being a coder, I was in a back-end job, to be very honest. I never used to get to see my clients. I was just executing and implementing on the ground, sitting in front of my system. However, being a consultant, all I do is basically talk to the clients now. I rarely go to my office, but I spend a lot more time at the client's office. So that's the key difference that I felt when I joined or moved to this consulting world. But that being said, I think what has helped me do well in this consulting arena is the fact that I had that technology experience, or the experience of working in multiple places and also knowing how to code. That's a key skill that is appreciated, that makes me stand out when I'm actually doing my consulting work on the ground now. So I really feel, or I strongly feel, that there are certain differences between both the world, but at the end of the day, having an experience, or having an experience not just in doing coding, but any kind of experience, will eventually help you in being a better consultant out there.
Wow, so all transferable skills, right? No knowledge or experience ever goes to waste.
No, absolutely not, because as a consultant, now my key focus is on financial services. Otherwise, you can have clients from any industry at all, being a consultant. Anything that you do, or any kind of experience that you have at the beginning of your career, is transferable and is actually going to help you out being a better consultant.
Wonderful. I actually read this quote called "Learn in your 20s and earn in your 30s." Do you think that makes sense?
It makes sense to an extent, but I think looking at millennials, I would say take as many risks as you can in your 20s as well. Basically 20 is the new 30 now. So why not? Why even wait till your 30s? Learn as much as you can as soon as in your life, but also take as many risks as you can in your 20s and try and become bigger in life.
Yeah, millennials and Gen Zs watching here, this.
No, absolutely. I think it's absolutely necessary for anyone and everyone to take as many risks as possible early in their lives, so that they can figure out what their passion is, they can understand what they eventually want to do. And I think they can learn all of this from you specifically.
Okay, so now let's ask a funny personal question, which is, what is your height, Shashank? I get this question so much. He is a tall person. It was so difficult to actually fit him in this frame. So Shashank, what is your height?
I want to stand up and show my height. Can I do that?
I will pop a picture here regarding your height and showing the difference between our heights actually. So yeah, but what is your height?
Okay. To be precise, I'm 183 centimeters.
How much is that in inches? We don't know this.
Okay, 6 feet, around 1 inch, 6'1".
6'1". That is a tall person, tall human being, and I'm short. I'm like 5'3" and a half, or I like to say 5'4" sometimes. But yeah, there is a tremendous difference between our heights.
That's okay. We compensate for each other. No?
Yeah, true. So Shashank, you also started investing your money at a very early age, right? And that's what you actually help our students now with through your mentorship sessions on weekends. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your investing journey and how it started and where you are today?
So actually, I've been investing for quite some time now. Fortunately, I started very early. I remember I was 17. I was 18 actually. My dad, he opened a demat account for me, gave me 10,000 rupees. He said, do whatever you want to do with this money, and that's it. He did not tell me how to research. He did not tell me what is a good company or what is a share that you should invest in. He said, you go out there, you do your own research, you decide what you want to do with that money. I'm not going to ask you again. This is when I was back in Pune doing my engineering. So I could see people being passionate about either enjoying life or really studying hard. And that's how I started doing my research. I derived inspiration from what people actually used to do on ground. And based on that, I used to select the companies that I should invest in. And to be honest, I never went into the numbers or balance sheets of these companies. Very, very nascent stage for me. So at that time, this was my only inspiration. So I put all my money into a single share, and I was just looking at the movement of that share every single day, not just once, but at least 20 times a day. So that's when I became passionate about investing and to an extent paranoid about looking at my portfolio on a very, very regular basis.
So that was quite some time ago when you started your investing journey. Where are you today as an investor? How has your mindset changed?
Yeah, so I think I'm a bit more cautious now. I've learned a lot over the years playing around with this money in the stock market and exploring different new avenues as well. So now I'm not only focused on investing in different stocks, but investing in different types of instruments itself.
Oh, interesting. So if somebody is 18 or 20 watching this right now, what is the advice that you would give them when it comes to investing?
My biggest advice is start early. Research. There are so many of these applications out there. There's so many resources now, so many websites that are available. Please make the most of it. The kind of resources that we have now, they are absolutely stunning. You can do so much of your research and make such informed decisions which were not really possible, say 10 years ago or so. Sitting in the comfort of your home, you can do so much better now. So please research, please start as early as possible, and please do take risks. This time is not going to come back.
He keeps telling me that as well. I'm also very, very risk averse, and he keeps telling me to invest my money. So I've literally now just said that you take my money and invest it wherever you want.
Thank you. If anyone's keen on giving me their money as well, I am here.
Okay, so let's ask another fun question now. So let's do a little bit of rapid fire. Okay.
Done.
So I'm going to ask you questions, and I'm going to give you two options. You have to choose.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Done. Working in London or working in Amsterdam?
Working in Amsterdam.
Working in India or working in Europe?
Working in Europe.
Nice. Okay, jalebi or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Okay. And I wanted to ask you if you want to ask me any questions.
Rapid fire, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. You should have given me some questions or you should have asked me to prepare for it.
It's candid. Spontaneous.
Okay, fine. Mehar is a great singer. So singing or dancing?
Dancing. I love dancing, you know, I love dancing.
You guys should ask her to sing. She's very good.
Very good.
Okay. Living in London or living in India?
6 months and 6 months. Both.
Wow. Big expectations. You see, she wants to do big things in life. Okay.
So why don't we tell the audience a little bit about your role at MSB Vision? What do you do for us?
Sure. To be very honest, I don't do much. My main role is to make sure Mehar is doing the best that she can. Mehar is producing the best content that she can, and all I do is make sure I keep mentoring her sometimes, make sure I keep coaching her at times, make sure if she's feeling low, she's getting these negative vibes, I try do my best to give her the confidence boost that she needs at times. And to be very honest, leaving or quitting a full-time job, a successful job, being a good consultant, being or working for a great firm here in London, and jumping into an uncertain entrepreneurial life is not easy. It is extremely courageous of her. So that is why the only thing I do is basically provide her the support that she needs. And that's my role at MSB Vision. I don't do much, to be very honest, apart from holding the camera at times, taking her pictures and recording her videos wherever we go.
Hashtag Instagram husband.
Hashtag Instagram husband.
No, but actually Shashank does so much more than that. Like he said, when I'm feeling demotivated, low, and I feel like quitting and giving up sometimes, he's the one who gives me that push and makes me realize the vision that we are working towards, and it's just to help as many number of people as we can. So that is exactly what he does. Mentoring the mentor is what he does, right?
Very kind. But I'll take it.
But you also take mentorship sessions over weekends, right? So why don't you tell the students on what you help them with, and if they want to get in touch, what they need to do?
Yeah. I actually help out a lot of individual students. As I said earlier, I think a lot of people are interested in doing investing across the Indian and global markets now, and there's enough information available out there, but it can get confusing, it can get overwhelming.
Very much.
Several young professional students as to what exactly they need to do. So that's where I help out. I try and teach or educate young students or professionals about the ways to invest, how to diversify, the kind of risks that they need to think about, the different instruments that are available out in the market. And it doesn't have to be just stock market. It can be commodities, it can be cryptos, it can be NFTs. There's so many different things in the market out there. So that's my role. I basically help out these students and professionals out there to decide what kind of investment portfolio or structure that they want for their lives.
Nice, and that can also help them fund their own education in the future, right? So that's
Absolutely.
That's the plan that also Shashank helps everybody make.
So I think I spent a bit of a time earlier talking about in this video on how I moved to Netherlands, and I think doing investments at an early age really helped me to make or get through that plan. I could fund my own education, fortunately. And I do encourage a lot of students. That's why exactly in their early age to start investing and taking these risks.
Shashank is 100% self-made. He doesn't talk about it, but I'm telling you guys, he has made sure that he doesn't rely on anybody. He has become self-reliant, and it's been so inspiring to be with a partner who has literally stood on his own feet at such a young age. So if you guys are interested for signing up for a one-to-one mentorship session with Shashank, make sure you check out the link in the description below. Thank you so much, Shashank, for joining us today, and I promise you guys he's going to be here very more often, and we will see more of him. Maybe we can make this like a monthly series or something. Shashank, what do you think?
Yeah, I would love to be here more often, and maybe we can actually make it a monthly connect.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Please leave your comments down below if you have any more questions for Shashank. We hope to see you soon. Bye.